Let me tell y'all something right now. If you're praying, but you're still panicking, you're not really trusting. See, I've been broke. I've been homeless. I've slept in a car. I've had dreams that looked way too big for the life I was living at the time. But I learned something real simple. You gotta pray with expectation, and then you gotta get up, get dressed, and walk like it's already done. Now I ain't saying you just pray and sit down. No, sir. Faith without works is dead. You gotta pray like it depends on God, but hustle like it depends on you. That's how I made it, not because I was the smartest, not because I was the best, but because I stayed on my knees when life had me down. And then I got up and kept on grinding. You see, prayer is not a magic lamp. It's not a genie. It's a connection. It's you talking to your Creator, the one who made you, the one who designed your purpose before you even knew what pain was. So when you pray, don't do it like you're begging. Do it like you're trusting. Do it like you're standing on a promise, not just hoping for a possibility. And let me say, this delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. God don't work on your schedule. He ain't Amazon Prime, but he's always on time. So when life hits you hard, when the bills are stacking, the phone stops ringing, when the world says no, but your spirit still believes yes, that's when you trust your prayers the most. That's when you hold on tighter. That's when you keep showing up, keep believing, keep speaking life over your situation. Because when you trust in your prayers, you're really saying, God, I know you've got this even if I don't. Prayer is not a wish list, it's a conversation rooted in faith. Prayer ain't just you sitting there reading off a list of everything you want, like you placing an order at a restaurant. It ain't about telling God what he should be doing for you like you're the boss and he's the assistant. That ain't prayer, that's a demand list. And faith don't work like that. Prayer is personal. It's a connection. It's you opening your heart to the one who made it. It's your chance to talk from the place where the pain is deepest, the dream is highest, and the trust is tested the most. You ain't gotta have the perfect words. You just gotta be real. So many people come into prayer thinking it's about formality, thinking they need the right words like it's a script. Nah, prayer is messy sometimes. It's ugly crying in your car. It's whispering to God when your chest is too tight to breathe. It's saying, I don't even know what to say right now, but I'm here. That's what makes it powerful, not because you're talking to fix your life, but because you're surrendering to the one who already knows how the story ends. Prayer ain't just for the pulpit. It's for the parking lot, the break room, the middle of your storm. And you gotta remember, prayer isn't always about asking. Sometimes it's about listening. Sometimes it's about getting quiet long enough to hear that little voice say, I got you. Keep going. That's the real win, when you ain't just throwing words up, but waiting on direction. See, prayer builds a relationship, and relationships take trust, not transactions. If you only call on God when you need something, you ain't in a relationship, you're running a service line. But when you talk to him just to say thank you, or I trust you, that's love. That's faith. It ain't wrong to ask. Ask big. Ask bold. But don't treat prayer like a vending machine where you press B7 and expect the blessing to drop in 10 seconds. This ain't microwave faith. It's crockpot trust. When you pray, you're not changing God, you're changing yourself. You're reminding your spirit who's in control. You're shifting from panic to peace, from fear to faith, from pressure to patience, and that transformation, that's the real blessing. You ever had a moment where you prayed and didn't feel anything change on the outside, but somehow you felt different? That's what prayer does. It don't always move the mountain, but it moves you to climb it. So talk to him like he knows you, because he does. Talk like someone who's been through too much to fake it now. He already saw the tears you didn't cry, the fears you didn't speak, and the dreams you were too scared to say out loud. And he loved you through it. You don't gotta pray perfect. You just gotta pray honest, Be real about where you are and trust that God knows where you're going. That's what makes prayer powerful. It's not about you being ready, it's about you being willing. And don't just pray when you're in trouble. Pray when you're grateful. Pray when you're excited. Prayer should be the steering wheel, not the spare tire. It should be how you start your day, not just how you try to fix it. If you start seeing prayer like a daily conversation instead of a last resort, your whole life starts changing. You stop reacting to life and start aligning with purpose. You stop stressing and start trusting. That's the shift. So today, don't come to prayer with a list. Come with a heart, come with faith, and come with the belief that even if you don't see it yet, something is already working on your behalf. If you're praying but still worrying, you're not really trusting. You can't say you believe and still be losing sleep every night over the same thing you just prayed about. That ain't trust, that's negotiation. And God don't negotiate with fear. He answers faith. If you dropped it at his feet in prayer, why are you still carrying it on your back? Worry is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it don't get you nowhere. Some of y'all been rocking so long, you think that's progress. You prayed on Monday, then by Tuesday you were panicking again. That's not how trust works. Trust don't panic. Trust rests. When you pray, you're supposed to release, not rehearse. But too many folks pray the problem, not the promise. They keep speaking the fear, not the faith. And words got power. Every time you speak your worry, you're planting doubt in the soil where faith should be growing. Now let me be real, we all human. Worry gonna try to creep in. But when it does, you gotta learn how to answer it. You gotta talk back to that fear like, I already gave this to God. He's working on it. I ain't going back to pick it up. That's discipline. That's spiritual maturity. See, trust don't mean you got it all figured out. Trust means you believe he does. Trust means even if the situation ain't fixed, your spirit is. It means your peace ain't tied to your circumstances. It's tied to your confidence in him. That's the level we're trying to live on. You can't worry and worship at the same time. One is going to cancel out the other. If your mind is racing and your heart is heavy, that's your signal it's time to let go again. Sometimes we pray it off, but pick it right back up before we walk away. That's why the peace don't stick. Some of y'all got a strong prayer life, but a weak trust life. You know how to call on God, but not how to rest in him. And that's where the growth happens, when you don't just know how to ask, but how to wait without falling apart. If you really trust, then your actions change. You start walking like it's already done, talking like the door's already open, living like the healing is already on the way. Because faith is not just what you say in prayer, it's how you carry yourself after you say amen. When you trust your prayers, you stop begging and start believing. You stop stressing and start speaking life. And people will look at you crazy because nothing changed in the natural, but you changed. That's real faith. That's grown-up belief. You gotta understand, the enemy don't mind you praying. He minds you believing, because belief is where the breakthrough happens. Worry is a tool he uses to keep you busy and distracted doubting, while you should be standing strong. Trust is not a feeling, it's a decision. You choose it daily. You choose it when the bank account is low, when the test result ain't back yet, when the opportunity feels out of reach. You choose to believe that your prayers are not hitting the ceiling, they're setting things in motion. And just because you're still waiting don't mean nothing is happening. Sometimes God is working in silence, behind the scenes, lining things up in ways you can't see yet, but you gotta trust that process, even when it's invisible. You prayed right, then stand on that. Don't be double-minded. Don't undo your prayer with panic. Every time you start to worry, go back to the promise. Speak it, stand on it, and let peace replace the pressure. That's how you walk in faith. Trust your prayers like you trust gravity. You don't see it, but you know it's working. That's how faith is supposed to feel solid, even when it's unseen. You ain't gotta see it to stand on it. You just gotta know who you're talking to. When you pray, faith without action is dead work must follow your prayer. You can't just pray for rain and then forget to grab your umbrella. You can't ask God to open a door and then sit down like opportunity gonna walk up and ring your doorbell. That ain't how faith works. Faith moves, faith builds. Faith gets dressed in the morning like the blessing's already at the front door. A lot of people love to say, I'm waiting on God. But truth be told, God's been waiting on you. He already gave you the idea, the vision, the passion. He already put the resources in motion. But you sitting on the couch hoping the miracle does all the heavy lifting. Now you gotta move too. Prayer is the plan. Work is the execution. You can have a dream big enough to touch the sky, but if your grind don't match your mouth, you just dreaming. Prayer puts it in motion spiritually, but your effort is what puts your name on it in the physical. Faith is not passive, it's active. It's when you apply for the job after you just got rejected 10 times. It's when you write the book even when you don't know the first thing about publishing. It's when you start the business with just a vision and a prayer. That's faith. It looks like crazy until it works. God blesses movement. He didn't say, I'll bless the ones who sit and wish. He said he'd bless the work of your hands. That means your hands be doing something. Something good, something bold, something that matches the level of the thing you asked for. You can't pray for a harvest and not pick up a shovel. The soil don't care about your intentions, it needs your action. And your future don't care about your excuses, it needs your consistency. This world rewards the ones who didn't just pray for the door, but went out and knocked on it again and again. Some of y'all are trying to get God to bless laziness and call it waiting. Nah, that ain't waiting, that's delaying your destiny. You can't put faith in neutral. You gotta shift it into drive and trust that even if you don't know the full route, the GPS of purpose is already rerouting you in the background. The most powerful prayers come from people who are moving, who are acting, who are showing up every day tired, scared, maybe even unsure, but still showing up. That's faith in action. That's what gets heaven's attention. Don't just talk about it, be about it. You can cry and work. You can be scared and still try. Nobody said faith was supposed to feel comfortable, but it is supposed to produce results, and results only show up when effort shows up first. Don't be that person who prays for an opportunity, but don't even answer the phone when it rings. Be ready, stay ready, act like you already believe it's yours. That mindset, that energy, that's what pulls the supernatural into your natural. Action is your testimony. Anybody can say, I believe, but show me the work, show me the sweat, show me the late nights and early mornings, show me the discipline. That's what real belief looks like, not just shouting amen, but building when nobody's clapping yet. You can pray for strength, but God's gonna give you weights to lift. You can pray for wisdom, and He'll give you situations to navigate. That's the real blessing, not avoiding the challenge, but growing stronger through it. Because that strength that came from your action, the reason you gotta move is because God's movement meets momentum. When He sees you stepping, He starts shifting. When He sees you trying, He starts providing. But He ain't gonna do what you won't even start. Faith is the match, but work is what lights the fire. You prayed for it, right? Then honor that prayer with action. Show up like it's coming. Grind like it's on the way. Speak like you already see it. And never forget, God will multiply your effort, but you've got to bring something to multiply. God's timing is perfect. Delay does not mean denial. Just because it didn't happen when you wanted it to, doesn't mean it ain't coming. That delay you're frustrated about might just be the protection you didn't know you needed. Because God ain't in the business of being late, He's in the business of being strategic. He ain't just trying to bless you, He's trying to prepare you. See, you're thinking in minutes, but He's working in seasons. You want it now, but He sees what could happen if He gave it to you too soon. That's why the timing don't always match your calendar. God's not moved by your deadline, He's moved by your development. Some of the best things in your life are taking their time because you're still being built. And that ain't punishment, that's mercy. That's grace. You might be praying for a level of success that would crush the version of you that exists today. So He delays the blessing to protect the blessing. You ever thank God for what didn't happen, for the doors that didn't open, for the people that walked away, for the opportunities that fell through? That's the stuff you shout about later, once you realize the delay was a setup for something way better. You're not forgotten, you're not ignored, you're not being overlooked, you're being refined, you're being trained. God is lining things up in a way that when it hits, it don't miss. But it's gonna hit in His time, not yours. And when it does, you won't have to chase it, it'll be undeniable. The waiting room is where faith grows legs. That's where you learn patience. That's where you build character. That's where you discover that your identity isn't tied to the blessing, it's tied to the belief. You become strong in the wait, so you don't fold when the weight of the blessing shows up. Delay is not denial. Denial is when it's over. But delay is a message, not yet. Not because you don't deserve it, but because He's still writing the details. The script ain't done. The camera ain't even rolled yet. But the role is yours. He's just getting the scene ready. And don't let the enemy lie to you in the meantime. He loves to whisper in delay. He loves to make you question yourself, question God, question whether it was even worth praying for. But don't fall for it. You're closer than you think. And just because it's quiet don't mean nothing is happening. What looks like silence is often strategy. Heaven could be orchestrating 10 things behind the curtain while you're down here thinking you're stuck. You're not stuck, you're staged. Like an arrow being pulled back before it flies, God is stretching you for something greater. You gotta stop watching everybody else's timeline and thinking you're behind. You ain't late, you're right on time for your assignment. Somebody else's blessing might be their finish line, but it would have been your downfall. Stay in your lane and trust the pace set by purpose. Waiting is hard, I get that. But if you can trust Him with your eternity, surely you can trust Him with your timing. You didn't come this far to quit during the preparation. The delay may feel like punishment, but it's positioning. He's lining you up for something bigger than you prayed for. See, when it finally comes together, it's going to make sense. The people who doubted you, they'll be confused. The setbacks, they'll become setups. The time you thought was wasted. It'll be the exact time that shaped you into the version of you that could handle the blessing without fumbling it. God is not moved by pressure. He's not on social media watching other people win and thinking He forgot you. Nah, He's crafting something unique, something tailored, something divine, but you gotta trust that just because it hasn't arrived doesn't mean it's not assigned. So keep walking, keep preparing, keep showing up like the wait was part of the plan because it was. He ain't late, He's just aligning it all so when it comes full and overflowing. The delay ain't your defeat. It's the signal that something bigger is still in the works. Trust in your prayer means walking like it's already done. When you truly believe what you prayed for, your posture changes. You stop walking around like you're still waiting on permission. You walk like it's already done, like the answer's been mailed, the door's unlocked, and the promise is sitting with your name on it. Real trust don't wait on confirmation, it moves in confidence. You don't need to see every step before you take one. You prayed about it, you believed for it, now walk like it's yours. Faith don't need proof, it is the proof. You ever notice how children trust their parents without hesitation? If a parent says, "We're going to the park," that kid will go get their shoes, no explanation needed. That's how you should move after prayer, like the blessing is already loading, and your job now is just to get ready. If your actions don't match your prayer, you don't trust it yet. If you're still talking yourself out of what you just talked to God about, That ain't faith, that's doubt with church clothes on. You gotta match your energy with your expectation. When you pray for peace, start walking in calm. When you pray for healing, start living like recovery is inevitable. When you pray for increase, start stewarding what you have like more is coming. That's the proof of belief, not what you say, but how you move after you say it. Too many people pray bold but live small. They shout in the prayer room, then shrink in the real world. Nah, if you trust God like you say you do, then your walk gotta have some weight on it, some evidence. Some faith that leaves footprints. You want the blessing to show up, but the blessing is looking for the version of you that's already walking in readiness. You can't wait to prepare once it arrives. You prepare as if it's on the way because it is. That's not fake it till you make it. That's faith it till you live it. Think about a seed. You don't plant a seed and then stare at the dirt yelling, "Where's my tree?" You water it. You wait, but you also plan. You go by a rake. You clear space, because you know what you planted has a purpose. That's how you treat your prayers, like planted seeds. Your walk needs to match the weight of your prayer. You can't be praying for elevation and still walking in circles. You can't be asking for favor and still doubting your own worth. God didn't bring you this far just for you to limp through your calling. Stand tall, walk heavy. Start showing up like the version of you that already received the answer. Walk into that room like the opportunity has been assigned to you. Speak in that meeting like God already confirmed it. Move with authority, not arrogance. There's a difference. Authority is born in faith. When you walk like it's already done, people will question your confidence. Let them. They didn't hear your prayer. They don't know the nights you cried, the fasts you went through, the faith you held on to when everything said quit. That confidence ain't cocky, it's covered, and don't confuse movement with manipulation. Walking like it's done doesn't mean forcing outcomes. It means flowing in obedience, taking steps with peace, not pressure, moving with trust, not tension. The pace might be slow, but the direction is sure. Sometimes God delays the visible blessing just to see how you'll walk in the invisible season. Will you still praise Him? Will you still believe? Will you still walk like you've got something to show, even when your hands are empty? That's when He knows He can trust you too. Your walk speaks louder than your words. If you believe your prayer has power, then your posture should echo that belief. You prayed for the breakthrough, now walk like the walls already fell. You prayed for the door, now walk like you're standing in the hallway. Walk like it's already done. Stop trying to control the outcome. That's God's job. You prayed, but then you started plotting. You laid it at God's feet, and the next minute you picked it back up trying to figure it out yourself. That's not faith, that's fear disguised as strategy. You got to understand, when you trust God, you surrender the how and focus on the who. You're trying to drive the car and be the GPS at the same time. That ain't how this works. Faith means letting God do the navigating, even when the route don't make sense. You just keep your hands on the wheel of obedience and let Him guide the direction. Control is a comfort trap. It makes you feel secure, but it ain't real security. It's anxiety dressed up as order. And when you try to control everything, you end up squeezing the miracle out of the moment. You can't force what God's already favored. Some of y'all are exhausting yourselves trying to play God in your own life. You're trying to move the pieces that don't belong to you. Open doors you're not supposed to walk through. Fix people that were never your assignment. No wonder you're tired. You're doing too much of what ain't your job. Peace don't come from control. Peace comes from trust. And trust says, I don't have to know what's next. I don't have to make it happen. I just have to show up and believe God's already at work. That's the posture of a prayer warrior, not controlling, but surrendered. You can't micromanage a miracle. Miracles move in freedom. They flow in surrender. They show up in the space where your hands get off the wheel and your heart stays aligned. That's where God does His best work, in the room you cleared of your ego. Sometimes the outcome you want ain't even big enough for the blessing God's trying to bring. That's why he's not letting you control it. You're praying for a door, but he's building a hallway. You're begging for a job, but he's preparing a calling. Let go of your small view so he can unfold the full vision. Control is rooted in fear, the fear that God might not come through. But when you really trust him, you stop needing to know the play-by-play. You stop needing updates. You stop checking the clock. You just move in faith and expect delivery, not explanation. God don't need your backup plan. He don't need your edits to the blueprint. What he needs is your obedience. Your willingness to say, I don't see it, but I trust it. I don't get it, but I believe it. I don't control it, but I release it. That kind of surrender, that gets heaven's attention. See, the outcome is above your pay grade. Your job is obedience, not results. You plant, you water, and he brings the increase. But too many of us want to skip obedience and demand outcomes. That's not faith. That's entitlement. Sometimes God delays the outcome just to see if you'll still obey when there's no applause. When nobody's watching, when the likes ain't coming in, because real trust shows up when the spotlight is off. That's when faith gets forged. You ever prayed for something and God gave you something better, but it didn't look like it at first. That's why you can't cling to outcomes, because what looks like a closed door now might be the very thing that saved your life later. You don't have the full picture, but he does. Stop rehearsing your backup plan in case God fails. That's not trust, that's hedging your bet. And faith don't hedge. Faith jumps. Faith walks on water. Faith moves when logic says sit still. Let go of the grip you have on how it's supposed to go, and open your hands to how it could go. So breathe, let go, stop overthinking it. You did your part, now let God do his. Don't rush the result. Don't manipulate the moment. The blessing comes when you surrender the process, not when you control the outcome. Let God be God. Your breakthrough is connected to your consistency and faith. Breakthrough don't come to the loudest shouter. It don't come to the most emotional. It comes to the most consistent, the one who stays locked in when the excitement dies down. The one who still shows up when nobody's watching. The one who keeps believing even when it feels like nothing is moving. You prayed good, but now what? Are you willing to keep praying when it looks like your words are hitting the ceiling? Are you willing to keep showing up when your hands are empty and your heart is tired? That's where breakthrough is born, in the space between belief and consistency. A lot of people want microwave miracles, but God works in slow cookers. You don't get to rush the recipe and still get the flavor. You don't get the victory without the discipline. You gotta stay in the kitchen even when it feels like nothing's cooking. Consistency builds trust. It tells heaven, I'm not here for a moment, I'm here for a movement. It tells God, I believe you so deeply that I'm willing to keep showing up even when the atmosphere says quit. That kind of faith, that opens doors no man can shut. Too many folks treat faith like a vending machine, put in a prayer, expect instant results. But breakthrough don't work like that. You gotta be the kind of person who says, I'm gonna keep standing, keep sowing, keep believing even if it takes a while. That's when the ground breaks open. You can't walk in power if you don't walk in perseverance. God ain't looking for part-time faith. He's looking for soldiers, builders, survivors, people who stay faithful in the dry seasons, not just the overflow. Because if you can be trusted with little, he can trust you with much. Consistency is proof of maturity. It's easy to have faith when it's sunny, but what about when the storm comes? What about when the bill's due and the door's still closed? What about when the diagnosis hits or the friends leave? Do you still believe? Do you still move? Do you still trust? That's the test. Not whether you can shout about faith, but whether you can live it. Whether you can show up tired, pray unsure, give when it hurts, and smile when it don't make sense. That's grown faith. That's break through faith. Consistency makes room for the miracle. It builds muscle. It trains your spirit. It keeps your heart soft and your mind focused. Every day you stay in position, you're stacking bricks toward your blessing. You may not see it yet, but something is building. Don't let inconsistency rob you of what you've already sown. Some of y'all are 5 prayers away from a breakthrough, but you stopped at 4. Some of y'all were 1 yes away from the shift, but your no delayed the whole timeline. Stay faithful. Stay planted. Don't dig up what you planted just because it's taking time to grow. God responds to faith that keeps knocking, that persistent faith, that widow's faith, that Jacob wrestling, I won't let go until you bless me kind of faith. The kind that don't flinch when time passes because it knows the promise still stands. Breakthrough ain't random, it's attached to your pattern. What are you doing daily that proves you still believe? What are you practicing privately that shows heaven you're ready for the public reward? You can't fake consistency, it's either in you or it ain't. Keep waking up and choosing faith. Keep making decisions that reflect your belief. Keep writing the vision. Keep praying the prayer. Keep speaking life. Your consistency is a signal to the supernatural that you won't fold, and when you don't fold, you can't lose. Let everybody else chase trends. You chase truth. You chase growth. You chase God. Stay consistent. That's how you win. That's how you break the ceiling. That's how you get the promise. It's not the one who flashes, it's the one who finishes. And the finisher is the one who kept showing up trust in your prayers and move like it's already done. You've heard the keys. You've felt the weight of these truths. Now it's time to live them. Let me tell you something, prayer isn't just something you do. It's something you become. It's not a backup plan, it's your battle plan. It's not weak, it's war. And when you step into prayer with your whole heart, when you trust that every word you speak is reaching heaven's ears, you stop walking like a beggar and you start moving like a believer. This ain't about religion. This is about relationship. This is about waking up every day and saying, even if I don't see it, I believe it. Even if I don't feel it, I trust it. Even if it takes longer than I want, I know it's already being worked out in my favor. That kind of trust, that kind of grit, that'll open doors that talent never could. You've got to stop doubting what you prayed for just because you're still in the waiting room. That waiting room is not a punishment, it's preparation. It's where God shapes you, sharpens you, stretches you, and strengthens you. And when the timing is right, when your character can carry what your calling demands, He's going to blow your mind with what He releases into your life. But you've got to stay planted. You've got to be consistent. You've got to stop trying to control what only God can complete. You've got to walk like the thing you prayed for is already in the mail. You've got to hold your head high, keep your hands clean, and stay ready because the blessing ain't just coming. It's looking for someone who's ready to hold it. Don't let doubt talk louder than your faith. Don't let delays trick you into thinking you were denied. Don't let control choke out your peace. Let God be God and you be faithful. That's the contract. That's the covenant. So from this day forward, every time you pray, trust it. Don't just speak it, live it. Let your life echo your belief. Let your walk be a sermon. Let your consistency be louder than your crisis. And let your obedience be greater than your emotions. Because when you trust in your prayers, really trust, you don't just wait, you prepare. You don't just hope, you move. You don't just wish, you walk. And when God sees that kind of trust, He don't just answer, He exceeds. So stand tall, stay faithful, keep praying, keep believing, keep moving. And watch what happens when heaven responds to a soul that refuses to give up. Your breakthrough is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And your when is on the way. Trust in your prayers and move like it's already done.